Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the VTuber Voices Podcast. On this podcast, we like to talk about what it's like to be virtual, what it's like to be a VTuber, and how we can create growing and sustainable businesses as a content creator. And today, I would like to talk about a very important topic that I feel like often does not get talked about enough in the streaming industry. And not just the streaming industry, honestly, everywhere. Streaming, content creation, being somebody that does theater or performance or anything like that. And that topic is anxiety in streaming. How do we stream in the face of anxiety? How do we deal with mental illnesses that can pull us down? I would like to start with a disclaimer that I am not a professional. I am not a therapist. This is simply going to be my opinion, and this is the things that I have done and the tools I've used to help deal with my own personal anxieties. And I want to give a warning out to those who are uncomfortable about topics regarding this area. Please keep that in mind that you might want to stop listening to this episode of the podcast now. So I had sort of started getting lots of anxiety and panic attacks and experiencing depression more so in my 20s. This didn't really happen in my earlier life for me. I was much more, free going. People would call me a daredevil, and that sort of faded over time when my childhood trauma and things started to catch up to me. And now all of these terrible things have happened to me, which has made me feel like I couldn't stream, or I couldn't do content creation, or I couldn't chase specific dreams or talk to professional people that I wanted to talk to advance in my career. And that was something that really stopped me for a long time. And I don't want it to stop you. And that's why I'm making this podcast episode today. And that's why we're talking about this topic, because it is so important for you to understand that you are not alone, and that there are tools and that there are strategies that you can use to help yourself with these mental struggles. And know that none of these things are going to be permanent solutions. None of these things are always going to work, but this is a solid list of things that I put together that I feel like have helped me, and something that I think could help you start to pursue your dreams. So without further ado, let's talk about 5 ways to overcome anxiety while streaming as a content creator, and how we are not going to be limiting. We are not going to limit ourselves, even though we struggle with these topics, and even though we have these mental mountains to climb. We are going to climb those mountains together. I'm here for you. Our community's here for you, and we got your back, yo. We're not going to let this take over our mental hood. So number 1 that I want to talk about, which will not come to a surprise to anybody, because that's literally this whole channel, and that's what I'm pursuing and helping you guys pursue as well. And that is becoming a faceless content creator. This doesn't mean you have to be a VTuber. This doesn't mean you have to be a character. You can just use your hands. There's plenty of art channels and stuff out there that only use their hands and don't really show their face. Being a faceless content creator is so powerful because it removes a lot of that anxiety. If you can create a stream atmosphere or YouTube video or something along the lines without showing your face. And I don't care what anybody says. I do have a video as well over on my YouTube channel that talks about my experience with a face reveal. I want you to know you should never feel pressured to be doing a face reveal if that's something that doesn't make you comfortable. I do want to challenge you guys to step out of your comfort zones, of course, because that's important. But being a faceless YouTuber or VTuber, or finding better ways to do that, can really, really help. In fact, one of the things I knew this was powerful, but I didn't really realize how powerful this was until recently. So I watched the new show that came out called Alter Ego with my mother. We watched the first episode yesterday. And for those who don't know what Alter Ego is, it's sort of a singing competition with like heavy face tracking and full avatars, kind of like a Hatsune Miku type thing, but like bringing this to something like The Voice, or bringing this something like America's Got Talent. It's really, really epic. I highly recommend you checking it out. When I watched it, it was really cool because some of the judges, what they would ask all the contestants is, why do you feel like you need an alter ego? Why do you feel like you need this other character to represent who you are? And it was beautiful. I was crying because I didn't even think, again, I knew this, but I didn't even think how much it actually affects people until I've heard some of your guys' in the audience's experience as well as my own. And they said, it makes me feel like I can truly be who I want to be. Some of these people have a really hard time performing on stage and felt like they couldn't be a professional singer, or they couldn't follow their dreams because of certain things that would stop them, whether it was a mental illness, whether it was just being really shy, whether it was even something more serious than all those things combined. Their alter ego allowed them to truly feel and be confident in who they want to be. And that's what VTubers stand for, and that's what faceless content creators stand for. And I might seem like a little weird right now because I'm recording this podcast for anybody who's watching or listening on YouTube with my real life self as my cosplay Saya. And I'm kind of doing this to prove a point too, to show that you can also be confident in who you are and find ways to be you, but still not fully you if that's what you need. Whatever makes you feel comfortable, whatever makes you feel like like you're going to be able to create that piece of content at the end of the day and make that impact. In fact, there was a long time where I was debating on showing my face on stream on my content again after I switched over to being a VTuber, and I came up with solutions like masks. Like I had this mask here that was my sapphire mask, and that was something else that brought me one step closer to feeling a little bit more comfortable showing my face but also still being this character and sort of mixing these things together. So find creative solutions and how you can be a faceless content creator to eliminate some of that anxiety and help make your dreams come true despite feeling like you need to follow the same path that everybody else is following. All right, number 2, make a plan and write out what worries you and how you can conquer that if that thing happens. So if you are very nervous about keeping conversation going while streaming, and that's a huge anxiety for you, then what are some ways that you can counteract that? Is there something you can do? Is there a plan that you can make? Can you write down, if, I've run out of things to say, maybe I'll have a list over here of things I can talk about, or a list of stories. I actually did this a while back. I had a sticky note attached to my monitor that had like different lists of stories, so that if people wanted to hear a story or if things kind of got like quiet or dead, I would literally have a list of all these stories of things that happened in my life, and I just choose one randomly, like, hey guys, you want to hear a story? And then I just go into it, and that would branch a whole nother hour or two of talking about whatever, which again is going to take up some of that time and some of that space to help you fill the void if that's something that makes you anxious. So what I would love you to do is to get a piece of paper or a pen or a journal or something and write down what is making you nervous about making content. What is making you nervous about putting out that first YouTube video? What is making you nervous about clicking that go live button? And how can we create a plan in order to protect ourselves from the mental barriers that are going to stop us? What can you do to help alleviate that pain, to help alleviate that anxiety? So coming up with a plan is huge, and this goes far beyond content creation. This goes far beyond anything, is if you can come up with a plan to help alleviate those fears. If I feel this way in this situation, what are some ways I can get out? If you feel trapped when you go out in public, what are some ways you can exit? Is there a bathroom nearby you need to spot out to make sure that you can get out in that specific situation? So there's always going to be things that you can come up with as long as you prepare yourself. That's going to be one of the best tools that has helped me, can help you. Again, it doesn't always work. None of these things always work, but these are things that we are prepping to make sure that we have done our best. So at the end of the day, if something happens like a panic attack or anxiety, that you have tools to combat, and you can say, you know what, I tried, and maybe today's a day where I lose. Maybe today's a day where my mental is just tanking me, and we just got to chill. We just got to lay on the floor and play VR for a few hours. We just got to lay on the floor and do whatever. It's going to be okay. Number 3, please take a break. If you feel especially anxious during streams or something comes up, I've literally had moments where like I can feel like panic just randomly, like starting in the middle of stream, like nothing, I don't know what triggered it, I don't know what happened, and I'll just feel this really overwhelming feeling that just sort of takes over my being. You could take a break. Utilize that BRB screen. And another thing that helps too is pre-recorded content. If you're a YouTuber, pre-recorded's great because you're not live. You can do as many takes as you want. But remember that it's okay to take a break. And this sort of leads into our 4th point, which is cultivate a community that understands what you're going through and who you are so that you can vocalize to that to them. So my community, and for anybody who's already part of it, is called the Eternal Gems. And we try to keep negative talk and topics like anxiety and depression, we don't really like to keep that in the community, but we do lightly have conversations about it at times when it is needed. And we don't try to get too far into things because, again, we don't want to create a negative atmosphere, because that's not what I want people to experience when they come to my stream or when they watch a YouTube video. But there are important times to talk about it, like we're talking about it in this podcast episode. But if you cultivate a community that's loving and caring and a non-toxic community that understands who you are as a creator, they will make you feel comfortable enough to be able to talk about those topics if they need to be talked about. Now, I'm not saying you want to bring your community down or create a negative atmosphere, but knowing that they're going to be there for you to back you up. You know, how can you set yourself up for success with your community and create a place where you feel like you can share that information so that if things are going a little bit down the rabbit hole or your mental is getting lost a little bit, you at least know that people are going to back you up if you need to take a break, or people are going to back you up if you need to say, you know what, guys, I'm just feeling really anxious today. I'm just feeling really anxious in this stream today. Or, you know, guys, this YouTube video is really difficult to make, but but we're here and we showed up today. Sometimes I think it's the most important to vocalize those things because people need to hear that they're not alone. Too many people on the internet, especially with social media, myself included, we get in these things where it's like positive, rainbows, unicorns all the time, and you don't want to be like that all the time. You want to be real, you want to be genuine, and you want to show people that it's okay to feel that way. And I think ultimately that will build a stronger community and that will bring us all closer together as creators and as people. And this is going to bring us to number 5, which is put together a list of tools and things that can help you, that you can practice rituals before and after stream or before and after a YouTube video or whatever that specific thing that makes you anxious is. So rituals can be something like a meditation. It could be like doing deep breathing. You can breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4. That's one I really like. There's something called ice breathing where you fill a bag with ice and you can breathe in with the ice and get like the cold air in your system, which could help too. There's lots of things. So put together a personal list for you, or if you have a therapist, talk to them and ask them. See if you can come up with a list of tools or things that are going to help you be able to get through those hard moments, and make sure you're making time for those things, because at the end of the day, my friends, self-care is the most important thing. If you don't have that self-care, you're not going to be able to create a YouTube video. You're not going to be able to start going live and streaming because you're just going to tank slowly and it's going to completely destroy your inner peace. And we need that inner peace to be able to strive and follow our goals and follow our dreams and do the things that we set out to do, the things that we want to accomplish. We need to find peace within ourselves, and that all starts with coming up with a plan, finding a way to eliminate these mental barriers and make it easier for ourselves, and vocalizing it and finding a way to empathize with everybody to know that you are not alone and that we got this. It can suck and it can be so hard some days, but we're not going to let that stop us. So what are you going to do to help start eliminating some of those fears and anxieties? How are you going to start creating your YouTube videos? How are you going to click that go live button? Again, go through the list of 5 that we talked about here today, and please really consider these things to help start moving yourself closer towards your goals, closer towards your dreams. Build that content empire. You guys got this. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you next week. I believe I should finish the next episode with a new guest that we'll be bringing for the next VTuber Voices podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you all on the next episode. Goodbye, gems.